coming out of Cleveland, Tennessee, I give you the Normal Dudes Podcast.
Today we have a dude on who should probably just
do the intro.
Introduce himself.
Yeah.
He's going to do a lot better job than I do. But I guess this is kind of my job today. We have Chad Finnerty on. He is the ring announcer for All or Nothing Fights and does a couple of other gigs from what I gather too. But he's also a professional fighter.
Mm-hmm.
He does all types of fighting, including bare knuckle fighting. That's insane to me, but that is one of the things that he's done in his life, and we want to talk to him all about it.
Yeah, we do.
Everybody welcome Chad.
Hey guys. Glad to be on.
How did you get started fighting?
Okay.
Because you started fighting first, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's get chronological order is always a little bit easier.
Okay. So I was working a job, and Sam McAlpin was one of my technicians that we worked for at a pest control company. And we'd gone out to lunch, talked about just kind of life backgrounds, told him that I'd wrestled a little bit in college, and didn't think anything else of it. One day we were sitting at the house, and he called me, and he said, "Hey, man, you wrestled in college, right?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I've got this boy that I'm training. He's fighting a wrestler." He's like, "Is there any way that you can come up and just show us a couple of things?" I was like, "Sure, man. I'd love to." Just got a divorce, was just sitting at home with my kids. And I was like, "Yeah, I'll come on up." And went out there, absolutely fell in love with it. They had a coach that just pretty much up and just dropped them.
Just left, yeah.
And so right before that fight, they're like, "Hey, can you corner with me? Me and Sam were going to corner the boy." And I was like, "Yeah, that's fine. I've never been to a fight, but
I've never been to an MMA fight.
We'll give it a shot."
I'm going to corner one.
So we had an absolute great time. Lost a split decision that night, and then Sam took a fight, and so I stayed in training camp with him to try to help get him ready. And then we went to Knoxville, and he had a crazy upset over the guy that everybody thought he was going to lose to. Well, then after that, Sam said, "Hey, I'm going to start this company called Alabama Fighting Championships, and I want you on the card." I said, "As long as I have somebody my age." So we were looking, had somebody close to my age. I was 38 years old.
Starting out.
Hadn't done anything since college. And we had somebody my age. Didn't work out. So then all they could find me was a guy that was in his 20s. They had already been doing these smokers and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, "Well, we've already sold the tickets. Let's just go ahead and do it." And I think as of now, that was 14 fights ago. And so I worked my way up, had a couple of amateur fights. I think I had 7 amateur fights, and then got a pro deal and started fighting pro. And then chronological order, I had back surgery. I had 3 back surgeries back to back to back. And thought I was going to be done. And I had signed a deal with BKFC, Bare Knuckle Boxing, to fight for them. And he wanted me to do wanted to see me fight, just a regular fight, before he put me on TV, because I didn't want to see me back injury and just go down.
Yeah.
So I had signed with a management company, Carlos Leon Management Company. And he called me one day and he's like, "Hey, Ken Shamrock has a bare knuckle promotion in Florida that they're wanting you on. Would you take it?" Sure, why not?
Yeah, it pays, right?
It does.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to expect. I've never been on a big show. I fought on regional shows.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you want to talk about just top of the line, everything. They met you at the airport. They took care of you. Just what you expect.
Yeah.
And growing up, Shamrock was one of my heroes.
Yeah.
So to get to be in a fighters meeting in a room this size with Ken Shamrock himself talking to you and giving you guys a pep talk,
Yeah.
man, I didn't even care about the fight. Between that experience itself,
Absolutely.
I've got to experience so much crazy stuff at 38, starting at 38, that most of these guys that are getting started now want in their whole fight career. I've got to do it in 6 years,
Yeah.
almost 7 years.
Wow.
So it's been a crazy run.
Yeah.
So you got your first pro deal. How old was you exactly?
I think I want to say I had just turned 40.
So you're probably like, golly, like there's got to be some crazy thoughts going through your head. And
All I cared about, I wanted to fight. Once I did the amateur fight and I fought, the one-time amateur, then I was like, how cool would it be to get a pro contract to fight professionally at 40 years old?
Yeah.
You get to do one
that's
pro
awesome.
fight. And, I won my first 2, then lost my second 2, and then have gone, back and forth on my last couple. But yeah, 40 years old, getting a pro deal. I mean, it was a regional pro. So,
Yeah.
I mean, let's not make it sound like I'm on the big leagues. I'm never going to get there. I knew that from the get-go.
Yeah.
Like, all I wanted to be able to do was to say, hey, look, I made it to a pro as a 40-year-old. That's it.
for sure.
I mean, you say you're pro, that's pro, right?
Yeah.
You don't get to back away from that.
Right.
That's the thing, is once you say, this is it, I'm a professional fighter, this is my first professional fight, you can't back away from that. And so it's a big deal to step forward and say that, because your level of competition is going to go up.
Yes,
your
sir.
level of intensity has to go up. It's a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so at 40 years old, but I know because I've already surpassed that, that's a big deal.
Yes, sir.
It's a huge deal. I'm impressed with it.
Yeah.
So let's back up just a little bit more, because we kind of scrolled right past the fact that you were a college wrestler.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about that just for a second, because wrestling is one of my things. I love it. So I want to hear a little bit about it.
So I wrestled originally growing up from kindergarten to 8th grade. I went to one of the biggest schools in Indiana, and it was wrestling. For wrestling. It was wrestling is life.
I love it.
Right before my freshman year, we moved about an hour and a half south, and I went to a 1A school that we ended up graduating with 68 people.
Dang.
And what was funny is wrestling was life there too. But we didn't have enough people to fit a full team. So we would win like the individual tournaments because all of our guys would make it so far.
You're amazing.
But dual meets, we would lose because we'd have to forfeit so many weights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wrestled there, went on and wrestled at Purdue.
It just says that.
I know, yeah.
So if you don't know, it's not Iowa, right?
Right.
But
it is Big Ten.
It's huge. That's an area, like, that's football to them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At Purdue, Iowa, those Big Ten schools, that's their football. They could care less about football, most of them. It's wrestling.
Yeah.
So to go to Purdue and then you just scroll past it like that, I don't know. I don't feel like it should be, but
Well, I mean,
it's
most
just
of
part of your life. I understand, but I'm impressed.
Most of my accolades came from freestyle and Greco-Roman, so not even school related, but like the AAU
I got you.
and all of that. I was on Indiana's national team for freestyle 3 years in a row, and then Indiana's national team for Greco-Roman for 3 years in a row.
Wow.
That was and that's what's helped me so much with the MMA is
Sure.
the Greco, because people learn wrestling and they typically learn freestyle or collegiate,
Mhm.
so they learn just the basic singles, doubles, defense, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the Greco is what you don't expect when
Yes.
you're doing an MMA fight. So if you're
And
fighting
for
a
people
wrestler,
who don't know, Greco is a type of upper body kind of wrestling where it's mostly throws.
yes, sir. There's no touching of the legs. It's all
Right.
upper body. So with MMA, people don't expect that.
Yeah.
They'll throw a couple punches and then they all of a sudden want to grab you. And it doesn't matter if it's, if you're thinking wrestler, if you grab them with your body, you think, okay, I got him. I can hold
Yeah.
him still. I want you
I'm well
to do that.
prepared for you to grab my upper body.
It's some of the videos
Yeah.
you've seen.
Oh,
like,
yeah, that's-
Yeah.
yeah.
the poor boy didn't know. Like he grabbed and he thought he was just expecting a regular wrestler to just shoot in.
Yeah.
And, I just body locked and
Tossed him.
hip tossed him.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love that. And that's actually what I teach a lot at our gym up in Henniger, Alabama. It's backyard kickboxing. I do the wrestling and MMA wrestling practices on Mondays. We alternate them, but Mondays is the nights I teach. So we go back and forth with that because that's what I've known my whole life.
So cool.
Mm.
It's cooler to me than almost this. It's the fact that you wrestled at Purdue is almost as cool to me as that you did the bare knuckle fighting.
Yeah.
Bare knuckle fighting is insane to me.
Yeah, it is.
You wrestled at Purdue. That's cool as crap. But the bare knuckle thing, that is
Seems like a whole different level of mental struggle.
It really is. And so going from a regional show to I call that the big show. I mean, it was big production, big everything.
It's huge.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And sitting back there, I had friends that they said, dude, when the camera went on you look terrified. I was like, well, I'd never seen anything like that. So, regional shows, exactly when you're getting ready. You don't have to worry about the camera crews or anything like that. I was standing there getting ready, and all of a sudden, the lady walks up. She's like, Chad, you start walking in 3, 2, 1.
Golly.
And we're in a tunnel, and all of a sudden, spotlights come on. I don't see the big banner that's behind me. I don't know that's where the cameras are hitting. Like, I'm expecting to walk out.
Yeah.
And then everything. So you got lights, you got smoke, you got everything. And I'm like, what in the, like, this is big time for a boy that, not supposed to be big time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a little unnerving. In addition to the fact that I was going to do something that you can't train for. That's the thing. Like, you can train for MMA, you can train for kickboxing, you can train for wrestling. How do you train for bare knuckle? You can get in there and spar with your buddies with bare hands? No. So you really don't know until you get in there and you get hit. Like,
you don't know what that first punch is going to feel like until you feel it.
And
you're going to fight at this point.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be a shock, and you have to just feel that. Your first.
Yeah. What's the difference in the pain level?
I didn't feel anything.
Okay.
The adrenaline.
The
Takes over
adrenaline.
no matter what, anyway.
Yeah, I didn't feel anything until the next day.
That's something we've got from everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. We were getting on the plane. I think I was telling you guys earlier. Greg Hopkins, which was my corner man, he went to hand me a Coke in the shuttle back to the airport, and I couldn't even grab my hand around it. I was like, Greg, something's wrong with my hand. He looked at it and he's like, you probably broke something. I'm like, well, don't you think it would be swelling?
I just broke.
You're like, maybe, but maybe not yet. Yeah,
Well, now Greg broke in their amateur fight. Greg broke both his hands on Trevor Peake's head.
Yeah.
So he knows. And so he was like, it's probably broke. We got on the plane from Jacksonville, Florida, and we had to go to Charlotte and then here to Chattanooga. And by the time we landed in Charlotte, my whole hand was swollen. I was like, yep, you're probably right.
Yeah. This makes a lot more sense. So you did the fighting, and you actually have another fight coming up.
April 19th we're going to fight for Impact Promotions in Huntsville. They're coming up in, supposed to be at the Von Braun Center. So probably one of the bigger shows that we've ever had in Alabama. And Impact is out of Panama City, and they've been doing a few more shows, South Alabama, Birmingham. Now they're coming all the way up to Huntsville. And
so just like we were saying before, once you go pro, you can't step back. So this is a professional fight.
It is professional for me. It'll be a pro-am for the card. So they'll have pro fighters and amateurs.
I got you.
Which is one of the things that the reason I wanted to jump on board for this being very potentially my last MMA fight is since my last fight in May, my 19-year-old son has started training with us. And so we are aiming to be the first father and son to ever be on the same card in the state of Alabama. So it'll be his debut and then very possibly my very last one. So we're looking to kind of have a big show in our
thing.
Yeah.
That's got to be cool.
That is cool.
And
it will be cool.
And I told him, I said, man, that's going to be, of all the things that I've ever done, the bare knuckle, anything like that, that's going to be the most mentally hard to do, because you have to go out in coach mode and corner your boy.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then if he wins,
You got to flip that switch.
you all excited and you're happy, proud dad moment.
for sure.
And then he gets to go on and his night's over, which
Yeah.
he's going to be cornering me as well, but his night of focus is over.
Yeah.
I have to turn around and go in the back and try to get ready, which usually takes me about a day or so just to get, because I'm not one of those that's just like turn the switch and just let's go. I'm typically a big teddy bear, you know, outside of being in there. So it takes me a little bit. So it's going to be a little bit of,
that's going to be different, huh?
yeah, it's definitely going to be something different.
You're the main event?
Probably not. They'll probably have Cody Shelton or one of the boys from out in Huntsville be the main event.
I got you.
Nice. So I'm thinking about trying to load up and go to that.
Yeah, might as well.
That'd be
If
awesome.
we ain't got nothing else to do, yeah, we'll be there for sure.
Yeah, if we ain't got nothing else to do, which would just be life in general.
Yeah,
It
right.
wouldn't be like,
Nothing crazy.
oh man, we got a UFC thing we're going to go do. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be like that. It's going to be like, bro,
Yeah.
I had to go to the hospital again or something.
Right. No, I understand.
So when you get that information, like to buy tickets,
I will definitely send
Send
it
it
to
my
you.
way.
Yes, sir.
the other big thing that you do now is the announcer. I've seen you announce 2 fights, I think now. 2 fights, yeah. And it's you put the excitement into the air, okay?
Yeah, for sure.
Now, granted, some of the fights do that on its own, right? We've seen that, but that the first fight of the night, you hadn't seen the fight. You're not amped up yet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is your job.
Yes, sir.
Is it harder to start doing that, or is it harder to fight? Like, which one is? Like, when you first walk out there, it's got to be pretty difficult. Like, you're like, I don't have any energy either. You know
Yes.
what I mean? You're like, I'm not feeling energetic either, but you have to come out there and
Flip that
amp
switch.
everybody up,
Oh, absolutely.
and you kill it.
Well, I appreciate that. But first and foremost, Billy's matchmaking is what makes everything. It makes my job easier.
Yeah. So he does make some fantastic fights.
Yeah, for sure.
Billy Swanson and Sam McAlpin, the guy that was the AFC and one of my teammates and coaches, of those two in this whole region are by far the two that match these things most fair. So typically you have a side and a B side on these fights. With a lot of other promotions, and A side being, hey, they sell the most tickets, we're going to give them a walkthrough fight. Okay.
Yeah.
And me and Billy's fought for companies that have done that. Okay.
Right.
And that was something that when he started he was absolutely not. Like, every one of these fights are going to be 50-50.
Yeah.
Let's go. I want the best possible fights,
Yeah.
not padding my guys' records.
100%.
So he told us also, he's like, my dudes are taking the hardest fights.
They absolutely are.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not if it's my guy, they're going to take the hardest fight.
Absolutely.
And you can tell that they're taking some of the hardest fights. It's some of the
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons that it's so much easier to work for Billy. Just like everything else in my life, it fell into my lap. The head of Gamma, Chandler Goings, called me one day and he was like, hey, we had one of our referees back out, had a family emergency, this, that, the other. Can you come and announce? Because if not, I have to announce, and then we'll only have one referee. But if you come, I can split reffing time, and then just let you announce. And I was like, man, check with Billy. Make sure he's good with this. You know, first and foremost, make sure Billy's good with this. And they're like, yeah. He said, come on. And, you know, we was talking earlier, Jake Harris is where I got my start. He was the one that did he was the announcer for my first fight. He's here. So the way that he can make you feel when you're about to step foot in there, when you're about to go to war with somebody else, The way I looked at it, I was 38 years old. When I did my first fight, I wasn't making it to no big show. I wasn't getting a Bruce Buffer. I wasn't getting national attention.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that he made you feel like you guys were on the biggest of the big shows stuck with me. So then when I get the opportunity, I'm like, you know what? Every one of these fighters, and maybe lose some energy somewhere through the middle, but I try not to.
There may be some lulls and highs, but for the most part, I mean, yeah.
Because it's important because, some of these boys, most of these boys are never going to get to be on the big show.
Yeah.
But if they can get an intro to get them pumped up, get the crowd pumped up, there's nothing better as a fighter than the announcer getting you hyped and getting the crowd behind you. The crowd behind you in a fight is so surreal.
It's astronomical.
Like, you hear them, and we was talking about Tyler Wallace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
His crowd, they're going to get rowdy without me. Okay.
Yeah.
But when you engage them and they start getting amped up before Tyler even throws the first punch, man, it just makes the whole night easier.
Oh, yeah.
It makes my job easier. It makes Tyler, he's going to fight hard, a whole lot harder with his crowd behind him.
For sure.
And you got the sponsors over here that are like, man, this is cool. Nobody wants to come to a dull fight.
No.
And, you start it with the announcing, the fighters do their part. Billy's done his part.
Sure.
Getting everybody on board. Man, it just makes.
There's so many pieces to the puzzle that it takes to make a good fight. You're just one of the pieces. And I feel like it's a big, huge.
It is a big piece for sure.
I feel like it's a huge piece of the puzzle to get an announcer that excites everyone.
You have to get the fighters excited.
Yeah.
If the fighters are coming in there scared and like shy and weird whatever. And like they got to be feeling like, I can whoop this dude's ass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've had announcers that are like, out of this corner, fighting Chad Finnerty, and you're just like, where's my oomph? You need that extra oomph.
Yeah.
So, I try to give that to the guys. I mean, I'm sure there's better out there. I mean, Bruce Buffer 10 times better than me, 100 times. But like on this level, I'm going to give them everything I got because that's what they deserve. Like they deserve that go.
On amateur fights, I've watched a million of them now, just because we're doing this, and we thought, hey, let's watch all the fights we can. I didn't know Trey had watched all the fights he could.
I've been watching a lot.
I have too. I've watched a million of them now. And as far as introductions go, my friend, I feel like, no kidding, you're probably up there in the top 3 for sure.
Well, I definitely appreciate that.
For sure, top 3, if not number 1 in the amateur level.
Yeah.
And I don't know how exciting. I've watched more amateur fights than I have professional.
Yeah.
I have recently, but I don't know that there's a lot of the professional introductions that are much more exciting.
Well, and see, there's a difference. You've got people like, there's an announcer named Big Mo, and he does a lot of the bare knuckle and all of that. And he's more of the Michael Buffer, like the long, drawn out intros, which are great. Yeah. And that's for the crowd. Like to me, that's more for the crowd.
100%.
When I'm doing it and I look at the fighter and I can just see that, that's all that matters to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to yell, I'm going to growl a little,
When I see, and you get in their face a little bit. And you're giving it this too, punching. I mean, dude, that amps everybody up.
Yeah, it does.
Well, and that goes to a lot with, and once again, giving credit where it's due, the way Billy does his shows. Billy does so good because Billy was a fighter. Billy knows what it's like.
Yeah.
Sam knows what it's like. They've both been fighters before they decided to be promoters. So just the little extra things that they do, like Billy has the pre and post fight interviews.
Yeah.
That is the coolest thing in the world because most of these boys' stories aren't going to get out there unless they fight somewhere on the big show.
And that's something that we talked about. That's what we want. We're like, dude. So to me and him, he and I both talked about it. To get people engaged with the fighters, you got to know them.
Yeah.
And to sit down and talk with them long form is going to get you way more engaged.
Absolutely.
I just feel like.
Absolutely.
And that's part of the pre and the post fight interviews. That's all Billy's trying to do is get people to know these guys.
Absolutely.
And it's important. And the more people we get to know in this, the more exciting we get for fight night, bro.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I first did Billy's first show, like I knew maybe 2 fighters on that card.
Yeah.
Because the last several years, I've been on a lot of the pro cards.
Mm-hmm.
So, I hadn't paid attention to a lot of the up and comers, and, Billy's quiet about his guys. Like you guys said, Billy's like, hey, my guys are my guys. They're going to fight the toughest guys. Mm-hmm. So you don't all the time hear a lot of buzz about the guys that are getting all the tough fights. It's not the 9-0 guys that are beating 0-15 guys, It's even matchups, and that's where it's at.
Yeah.
Like that's where
for sure.
And so the way he does that, and just like you said, all the moving parts, man, that's what makes his shows so good.
I think it's one of the best ones too. The shows and the fights and all that. I think All or Nothing is where it's at.
And what's funny too is knowing Billy from his straight fighting days to now. I've told him, I was like, dude, I'm so proud of you. Like he was roughneck, and he'll be the first to tell you. So this is not me saying anything negative.
He'll tell you about it too.
He was not the easiest just to talk to. So the first time I'm going to fight or going to announce for him, I'm like, oh God, don't screw up. Don't screw up.
Yeah.
And he pulled us aside, and apparently there had been an issue with the way that the announcing was getting transitioned to the pre-fight interviews, to the post-fight interviews, and with the music. So like it wasn't all in tune. Mm. So he called me and Jennifer over there with the music guy before we even start. He's like, I'm going to tell you, we better not have. And I'm like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I'm nervous as a cat.
Yeah.
But then when I get done, he hugged me, kind of rubbed my head. He's like, man, great job. I appreciate you. And, you don't get that from everybody.
No.
Yeah.
So he makes it easy.
I think that's one of the things too about Billy is he is roughneck, but each and every one of the guys knows that he's there for him.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, and he's funny to listen to. So when I'm sitting there, I'm usually sitting right next to him when I'm doing the announcing. Have to make sure the microphone's off.
Yeah.
Because you don't need.
Yeah. Well, he's been on the podcast, so I know what you're talking about.
And he's as real as it gets. He doesn't sugarcoat it. Like you could hear him, some of the stuff he says to his guys during the middle of the rounds. I'm over there just cracking up. I'm like, really? Like, But what I was saying though is with him being a fighter before and me being a fighter before I started any of this, I know what they deserve.
Yeah.
I know I've had the good ones and the Jake Harrises. I've had the Big Mo's, and I've had some that just they were there just to collect a paycheck because that was a job that they had to do.
Yeah.
So if I can,
like me, you're trying to do an announcement. You gotta have a voice for it too, bro.
Yeah, you do.
That's a thing. That's a part of it. Honestly,
it's sure.
not.
And I didn't realize I had it until I started doing it. Like
that's crazy, right?
And
what's the first time you've ever did it? Ever?
I did one for AFL. I did a kickboxing. AFL was, I think it was American Fight League. They were out of Gadsden, Alabama. And their guy, I think it was Jake.
Yeah, so that's the first one you did?
That was the first one I ever did.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Holy crap.
That's
Absolutely.
The first time you announce, you're like, hey, this all or nothing. Let's do it, baby.
And then the second time was their promoter, Willie Evans, was like, hey, I want you to help me do some matchmaking. So I matchmade, helped Willie do the matchmaking, and then got out there and did the announcing. And that's hard not to be partial because you're the one that's making these matches. And you're like, I better have these things hyped up. Like, these things better go off.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was. And then that's transitioned as we was talking into, I do our high school announcing.
Yeah.
I do the play-by-play for our football on Friday nights, our home games, which I made the joke to some of the parents. I was like, I don't understand who made the call to give the most foul-mouthed dad a microphone unsupervised in a locked box for 3 hours every Friday night. Not a smart idea.
Watching football.
Watching football, yeah.
Son of a gun.
Well,
Son of a gun.
I've called penalties from the box.
Yeah.
I had a referee stop and look at me. He missed a horse collar. And one of our guys was running around the corner, and I was like, Austin Cross on the end. Missed horse collar on the play. Ref stops. The white hat stops. Walks to the sideline. Looks up at me and is going. And I didn't even mean to. Like, I wasn't calling them out. I was like literally just trying to call the play as it happened. Yeah.
So you announced for football and basketball for your high school.
Yes, sir.
Are you a lover of all sport?
Yes.
Okay.
I love just about any kind of sport.
Okay.
And
most people are, most people who are into like MMA or whatever are into another sport of some kind, but it's anything.
Well, see, my son played, he's varsity football player, varsity basketball player. And so I was already there. And so happened to be their senior night, their announcer called in, couldn't make it. And so they called me and they said, hey, can you do the starting lineups tonight? And I said, listen, I'll do it if you let me do it my way. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do the starting number 2, Zion Finnerty. I'm not doing that. Doesn't do anything for the kids.
Yeah, for sure.
So we did it one night, and like 3 games later, we got the lights off. We got flashlights and everything going with the 90s Bulls theme music playing in the background. Like, we go all out. But that's what the kids deserve. Like, for sure. Just no different than the fighting. That's what the kids deserve. They're not going to get that. 90% of these kids are not going to make it to the NBA or NFL.
And then even the visiting
like
team is like, dang, dude, this is lit.
Oh, and I am like dulled down worse than like the worst announcer you can see for the visiting team. I'm like, starting at guard, 6 foot senior.
That's hilarious, dude.
Hey, they don't deserve the whole treatment. There's a reason that you have home field advantage.
There's definitely a reason you have home
awesome.
games. Yeah, it is. That's funny.
I feel bad for the other kids. Like, oh, this dude needs it too, bro.
So, for people who watch any of the fights, by the way, while we're on that subject, all of the All or Nothing fights are now on YouTube.
Yeah, they are.
Go watch those fights on All or Nothing. This last fight was Hit 'Em Again 10. Go check all of those fights out.
We'll put a link to the channel in the description.
And follow All or Nothing fights. Those fights, it's not easy to just get those fights and then put them on YouTube. It's not all just go lucky.
Don't just happen.
Don't just happen. There's a lot of work that goes into that, and so go take the time to go watch it. And you'll get to see our man on here
for sure
introducing these fighters and get to understand why we're talking. Well, you probably won't. Like, the video don't do it justice. You got to come to the fight. You have to come to the fights. I mean, you can buy it and watch the fights, and that's fun too, right? But unless you're there, you don't feel it.
I agree.
Unless you're there, you don't feel it.
You feel about 10%, maybe.
You feel about 10% watching it at your house.
Yeah.
If you want the full-fledged blood boiling, son, get me fired up, you got to be there.
Yeah,
I agree.
So you are an interesting dude, Chad Finnerty.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, we talked about this before the podcast, but you were my inspiration for wearing the suit to the fights, and everybody seemed to like it, bro.
Yeah, they did.
See?
Everybody loved it.
Yeah.
And you were my inspiration for that. The first fight I seen you were in a blue jacket.
Probably.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And then the last one was a pink suit, son. Sharp dress man.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that. But if you ask my 16-year-old daughter, Carly, oh, God, Dad, don't wear that. Please don't wear that.
Yeah.
I think you should go yellow next time, bro.
Hey.
The brighter, the better, baby.
See, except I don't want to look like a big old fat banana. So maybe not yellow,
Maybe
but
not.
some bright green, something like that.
I don't care what color it is. I know you're going to bring it.
He's colorblind, so it don't fucking matter.
Yeah, I'm colorblind anyway. I don't even know what color suit I was wearing.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm just kidding. But no, I love it. I love all of it, man. And I'm sure Billy appreciates the heck out of everything that you're doing out there. I'm sure he does. He hasn't talked about the announcer too much, but he does. He doesn't talk about a lot of the. He says it, you know, like, man, there's a lot of moving pieces of this, and
Absolutely.
there's a lot of people that's involved with it. And he says, if they're not all doing their job, then nothing works out right. You know, and,
Absolutely.
And these people are doing it. They're killing it.
No, and the way he matches the fights, he's not going to get no bum to come do the rest of it. You know, he's going to get the best that he can find. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I think he's done it.
And he makes it so easy. Like I told him before, I was like, listen, if you ever get a pinch on a budget and you need it done for free, dude, I'm in. Like what he does for these fighters right now.
It's something you can latch on to.
Absolutely.
Well.
I get in. I support him 100%.
Yeah.
The way he treats the guys, treats the coaches, treats everybody.
Yeah.
Just don't cross them. Don't make his show look bad. And you're good.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah.
But no, they're great. They're great to work for. And just the announcing, everything. The fighting has opened so many different doors for me, like that I never thought I would have, that I never even wanted, you know?
I know.
Yeah.
That was the way we fell into this.
Yeah.
It's crazy, yeah.
Just, and people don't understand how it happens, but like the fighters are closer to family than you really think.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
It becomes like, I love these guys that are coming on our podcast.
Yes.
And talking to us. I love them. You know what I'm saying? Like with every piece of me, I love these dudes. And it's not failed one time where they haven't been like a genuinely good human being.
Yeah,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not easy to find in the world we live in today.
Right.
And fighters really are. They're good human beings. Respectful humans, bro. And it's been a shocker to me for real.
Me too, for real.
Yeah.
Well, I tell a lot of people, the fighters that you see on TV, like the ones that are in each other's face and all that, that's for show.
Yeah,
sure.
10% of the time there's real beef there. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's for show. And I'm not saying fake show, nothing like that. They end up getting amped up at each other. But at the end of the day, and you can ask Billy, you can ask Sam, you know, Ovent St. Preux, you can ask any of these guys that have fought on big stages. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But I have to respect the fact that you've put in the training and that you're man enough to get in there and get in a locked cage with me. It doesn't matter if you win, I win. It doesn't matter.
About it too.
You know,
for sure.
Most of the people, you know, respect everyone. And then on the flip side, you're talking about good folks. You don't typically see legit, now I'm saying legit MMA fighters being hellions out in the street. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
You have the guys that'll train for a month or two and then run around and
say
get in bar
MMA
fights
fighter.
and all that.
Yes.
But then that gives us the rap.
Yeah.
Because that's what people know.
That's true.
But if you really dive into it, I say top of the line fighters, but even good amateurs,
dude, if
ones that
any
are
of
putting
Billy's dudes get arrested for some fight,
I feel bad for him.
Yeah, I know.
You're gonna get locked in with Billy.
Like,
you don't want that.
We already know some shit's gonna happen.
like I went to a UFC party at one of the fighters' houses, and they called Billy and they were drunk. Bro, I'm gonna tell you right now. He said, "I won't never call him back. I won't never call him again while I'm drunk." He said, I was in that gym. He made me do 1,000 burpees.
I don't doubt it. Which is what I'm saying. Like the Billy that I was fighting with, you know, when we were both on the regional level, was that guy.
Yeah.
But to see him transformation to what he is now,
right?
Businessman, dad.
Yeah. I'm taking,
yeah, like,
and he's training I think having the kid.
Oh yeah.
That
changes a lot.
It changes everybody, right?
It does.
So he said, I don't want my kid to act like I've been acting.
I've been out with him a couple of times. I know what he's talking about.
No, but so he wants his guys to be respectable human beings.
As you should.
Yeah.
As you should.
And I think a lot of the gyms that he interacts with and deals with and has fighters from, he expects that same thing from them.
Absolutely.
And they mostly are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're all, I mean,
you always have bad apples. Like you can't have that. But
yes, but overall good, respectable humans.
Yes.
Yeah.
And see, both of us got our roots. I say roots, but mentorship from Eric Turner, who is KMAA, Knoxville Martial Arts Academy.
Okay.
That's their coach. And Billy, you can often see on post, he'll revert to, praising KMA or something about KMA, because that's where I learned to be the professional. Like the way that he carries himself, the way that he demands his fighters.
Yeah.
Like you don't dare miss weight. Like you don't dare miss weight.
Well, Billy sat right there and said the same thing.
And exactly.
Like you signed up for this and you better make it.
For sure. It is.
We're not. You signed up for it, brother.
And so, I mean, that's when you get, and I mean, Eric's top of the line. And he's been a UFC coach for, I think, I don't remember when Vince fought his first fight, maybe 2006. That's what I'm guessing. I don't know.
Pretty close to 20 years.
Yeah.
17 years.
And he's been in the game and he knows all the ins and outs. And if he tells you, hey, don't act this way in public or do this, say this, don't act a fool here, best interest to listen to what he says. Yeah. And so it's almost like Nick Saban, the coaching tree that come out from under him. He's the man. Eric was the man, and you see people like Billy and Shane Hill, who's got a jiu-jitsu gym up in the Knoxville area. You start seeing these guys that are coming out from under him in his teaching, and they're having successful gyms and having good guys. And Billy's personal career, like he made mention he's about to have a big fight. I'm excited to see that.
I want to go. I want to go be sitting there for it for sure.
Yeah, make sure you don't buy the tickets without me.
Yeah, I won't. So you're saying Billy says some crazy stuff in the middle of the fights, in the middle of the rounds while they're fighting. One of the things that Logan Sharp came on, and he said during this fight, I looked up at Billy and I was like, and he goes, don't matter, just keep fighting.
Yeah.
And Logan was like, dang it, bro. Bro, you gotta, help me out. He's like, no, fight. I don't care.
I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Like, I'll let you know if you need to know.
Yeah,
if you're in a bad position, you got 10 seconds left.
But
hang
if
on.
You're on top and you're
there
just
ain't no sense in knowing.
Yeah, you don't need to know.
Fight until the whistle goes. Fight until that buzzer goes off, buddy.
And they had to carry him out of the cage.
Yeah.
He won the fight. He won it.
Yeah.
And he put everything out there, didn't he?
Oh,
bro?
Absolutely.
Him and Connor both.
Mm-hmm.
Golly, son. Man. I love it.
Yeah,
I love that stuff, dude.
It's motivational.
It is.
Even for a regular person like me,
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm a regular
Somebody can push themselves to that limit for something that they want.
I know.
It's motivating.
It is, dude.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So I love the fight game. We've fallen in love with the sport for sure. So I don't know how good you are at making this stuff up on the fly.
Uh-oh.
But I think introduce the Normal Dudes podcast in your voice. Can you do it? Or you got a little stuffed up? We'll give you a second.
Yeah, just give me a second. Let me think how we're going to do it.
It's more pressure than the first fight he ever did.
Yeah. I put him on the spot. He wasn't expecting that for sure.
I'm just trying to think of the wording. And see, that's what's funny is that I freak out.
Oh, I bet.
for the announcing, because I'm like, I'm going to say somebody's name wrong.
Yeah.
I'm going to say their gym name wrong. I'm going to say something wrong. Like one night I got just heckled by my friends. It was at the first Billy show that I announced. Guy was 6 foot tall. Well, I put 6 foot and 0 inches. So what I was going 6, because I say 6'3", you know, and I said 6'0", and like I got friends in the audience that are just doing like you, just sitting there dying laughing, and I'm like 6'0". And they're sitting there making fun of me, and I'm like, that is like the worst thing that could ever happen. Not so much for me. Yeah, it's embarrassing.
Yeah,
but like now I've screwed up your intro.
I know.
So like I put so much. Nobody does. Billy doesn't. Billy has never one time when I've got done going, dude, you screwed up. He has never said anything like that. Has he laughed at me? Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, but I've also laughed at him when he comes in the cage and grabs the microphone from me and starts going off on parents or coaches that don't like a decision. And I'm like,
he's respectable though then.
He is. He's really until they start mouthing back. And I'm like, y'all don't know. Like, you know the version that's standing here that's trying to be nice.
Yes.
I know the red vested guy. Like, I know the guy that's going to take 6-on-1 and walk out with a smile on his face. Like, y'all don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. Like, you're messing with the wrong one, bro. But yeah, it's funny. I know the dude that will fight all of y'all.
Yeah, we've seen that video.
Yeah. I was like, whoa. Like, I knew it was crazy, but then I was like, whoa. Whoa.
He's a big dude. I can't imagine trying to mess with him anyway. But I guess those dudes already knew who he was, kind of, whatever. They knew what they were getting themselves into and still decided to do it. But they all went to sleep.
You got that liquid courage, it don't really matter no more.
Oh, that's true. They all went to sleep. They all took a quick nap.
They don't even remember.
Yeah.
If it weren't for that video, they wouldn't remember nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Y'all ready for your intro?
Oh, man. If you got one. And he's a little bit clogged up. So
very, very clogged up.
On the spot, too.
On the spot.
And now, coming out of Cleveland, Tennessee, I give you the Normal Dudes Podcast.
Woo! And you scream like that all night.
All night long.
Yeah. Into a microphone all night. And you're usually you're moving around the ring.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think it's a very big integral part to interact with the crowd. Obviously, I have the microphone off, but you know, I'll go into Wally's Army and I'll start hyping them up 4 fights before he gets out there.
Yeah.
I'll go up to KMAA that I've trained with or my old teammates and I'll try to hype them up.
Yeah.
They're so calm and relaxed though. Like, that's hard to get them. If you get them, because they do all the I say mind games, not mind games. They do a lot of mind training too to get ready for the mental ability. So
I feel like that's a big part of it.
Yeah, so that it doesn't matter if they're fighting in front of nobody or 20,000 people. They're going to be the same. They're going to be prepared. So, but yeah, I try to go to each gym that has a big crowd there, and you know, either rib them a little bit. Hey, I ain't heard y'all. Y'all just show up. Like, what are you here for? But yeah,
and then even during the fights, you let's hear it, Chad.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's when I know I'm getting on the verge of being in trouble. I'll be sitting there. I'm a fight fan too. Okay, so I'm watching the fight, and all of a sudden I hear, Chad, get the crowd going. Yes, sir. Billy's over there in the middle of coaching. Get the crowd going. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But you know, that's what he promotes in his shows too.
Can you imagine all that going on in your head?
In his head, taking care of all that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I've told him, I'm like, listen, you tell me what you need before the show starts. I don't want to have to ask you a question after it starts.
Yeah.
You know, except maybe, do you want the microphone now? Or, you know, that's it.
And you probably don't have to ask that. He's going to grab it.
He is going to grab it. Yeah. Yes. He is. Give me the mic. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, y'all done messed up. Y'all done pissed him off. You done got the big fella mad.
We got on his nerves a little bit when Tyler knocked that, or Wallace, when he knocked that dude out, and we were all getting on the cage. And stuff. He was like, get away from the cage, back up.
Yep.
I was like, oh, sorry.
Instantly
bro.
listen. Okay, daddy.
Yeah. I instantly got in my seat.
I felt like I was
I'm
at
gonna
your
sit
kid
down.
again, bro, for some reason. I don't know why.
Because we were too close to the cage. We knew better than that.
Yeah.
But, I haven't met one single person from All or Nothing that's been a bad person at all.
Nah, yeah, for sure.
But, so, in the end, do you have anybody you want to shout out? Anything you want to say?
Yeah, actually,
Absolutely.
I was telling you guys kind of about just the doors that it was opening. I started filming a Christian TV series.
Mm-hmm.
You
in
told
January.
us about that, and I forgot to even hit on
It's
it.
called the After Series. I stumbled upon, I had a customer of mine, Andrew Jacob Brown, who is a pretty big time producer, writer, actor. Stumbled upon him in my day job, and we just got to talking, and he offered me this role. And, can't give a whole lot away about it, but I will say this. It definitely translates to what I do, what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
And so, getting to do that, I get to be in a couple of episodes on a TV show.
That's awesome.
Like,
actually,
that was a door that fighting opened for you.
Absolutely. A buddy of mine was like, dude, we're supposed to peak in our late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
Here you are about to be 45.
I know.
And you're calling me every couple of weeks and like, hey, man, I got this gig. I got this.
Yeah.
And
something else is happening, bro.
This is what I didn't even tell you guys yet. I fly out. I might have the dates wrong, but January either 11th through the 13th, something like that, close to Kansas City. BKFC, I've been in touch with their one of their head guys, Sean Wheelock. I'm going out there to get certified to where I can be a BKFC judge and ref.
Ooh.
So I'm going to be traveling the country, getting to referee and judge bare knuckle fights.
Son, that's cool.
So like,
that is lit, dude.
and it's just my way of getting to stay in the sport.
Yeah,
like I'm on the way out. Like there's no Father Time is undefeated, and he's got me against the ropes. As we talked about,
zero, whatever.
As we was talking about my last fight that you guys watched, popped my patella tendon. Like there's no getting around that. It's got to be fixed. I'm going to do one more fight, and possibly, I'm going to be done with MMA because just the wear and tear on the body. But possibly do some boxing, maybe bare knuckle again. But as far as MMA, I got to be done. It's just too much lower body torques. But shout outs, Sam McAlpin, Backyard Kickboxing. It's my gym, my coach. My kids, Zion, who's, like I said, 19 years old, just started training. He had been high school football, high school basketball, standout athlete, graduated, started working. One day he called me. He's like, hey, because I did not want him involved.
Yeah.
I didn't. I didn't want him to wrestle because I knew what the weight cutting did to me. Mm-hmm. Didn't want him to wrestle. Didn't want him to fight. One day he called and he's like, hey, real world stuff starts happening. And you realize that if you get in a fight now, it's different than high school. It's not a teacher. You throw one or two punches, teacher breaks you up. Yeah. It's the real deal.
Yeah.
So he come into the gym and he's like, I just want a self-defense, learn. He wasn't there 3 weeks. And he's like, how soon before you think I'll be ready for a fight? I was like, oh God. But you know what? He's picked it up.
Yeah.
He's head kicked me 2 or 3 times. And then my daughter, Carly, she's 16, varsity cheerleader. We've been out Black Friday shopping all day today.
Oh, yeah. By the way, it is Black Friday.
Yeah.
We're recording on Black Friday. Like, this is your half off podcast.
And then, just shout outs to the guys that to give me the work. Billy Swanson, Sam McAlpin, our coaches at the school, Jamie Pruitt, the Principal Brooks. I mean, just everybody that's given me the opportunity to get to do
what you're doing,
what I'm doing. I mean, I have an absolute blast.
I'm sure.
I'm
sure.
Super interesting.
You see the stuff. You see it. Like as a kid, I remember playing football, and our high school announcer was like Ben Stein.
Yeah.
Tackle, number 85, Chad Finnerty. And I remember sitting there like, dude, hype us up.
Yeah.
Like, get us going.
And it does.
It really does.
It makes the difference.
And so, if I can just do that for the kids, give back that way, whether it's the high school football players, basketball players, or, the fighters.
They'll remember it.
They will.
Yeah, they'll remember it.
Or here's the thing is like, you don't think about it that much, right? You don't think about the announcer that much. You really don't. Like,
not when you're in that circumstance. You're a teenager and
if you're there at the high school level and you're listening to you announce a tackle on number 34, you might not think about that too much at that point. But later on in life, especially if they go to college, they're going to hear that announcer at college probably be way more mundane than what you are.
Right.
Chances are, I mean, that's a big chance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but for sure.
There's a 95% chance that the announcer at a college football game is not going to be as exciting as you.
Yep.
So they'll go back and they'll be like, dude, our high school announcer was lit. At some point, you know what I'm saying?
Well, see, we
that's
played
a big deal.
Yeah.
My senior year. We played one of our rivals in one of our playoff games, and I played middle linebacker, and I dropped back into pass coverage, and I just absolutely obliterated a kid. And this was an away game.
This is high school?
High school.
What'd you weigh?
185, 190 pounds.
Yeah.
And I wrestled 152. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's why I didn't want my kids to follow me. I was, yeah. Yeah.
Your coaches hated you, dude.
I hated them. I'd come in and he's like, what are you weighing? And I'm like, 85, 90. And he's like, you make 52. I'm like, I was thinking 60 or 71. He's like, I was thinking 52. Like, yes, sir.
Man, I bet you were strong, though.
I was. And, being as tall as I am, I'm so lanky at that weight. And then my high school wrestling coach hated his guts, because of how hard he pushed me.
Yeah.
Graduated. Man, he was in my corner for everything.
Yeah.
He passed away a couple of years ago. So close to the family. His daughters are the ones that reached out to me, who used to sit on our lap when we would start wrestling practice in the winters. But I just been blessed to have a lot of good people in my life to give me that kind of thing. But that tackle, I hit the guy, and the away team was like, Bailey drops back to a pass completed number 2. And oh my God, a big hit by Chad Finnerty. That was an away game. And I was like, that's how it's supposed to be done.
Yeah.
Get
me up, bro.
My crowd went nuts. Their crowd was like,
yeah.
And so, that's what it's about to me is try to get them hype. Try to, like you said, they may never get that again.
Yeah.
But they will at A&F.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, you'll feel like you're coming out and fighting a professional fight.
At the end of the day, it's entertainment.
Absolutely. That's my job.
Yeah.
Their job is to put on a show and to win fights.
Yeah.
My job is to entertain everybody.
Yeah.
Which, now that is the hard part. When there is that lull and, maybe we just come off a dud fight and you know what's coming up, and it's not when I say not a banger, it's not, maybe it's 2 wrestlers that's coming up and you're like, I'm about to lose the crowd, if you don't do something. And
except for me, I'm going to be sitting over there like,
but that's the avid fan.
Yeah.
That's the avid. That's not the one that's saying, hey, I'm coming to watch Billy fight once.
Yeah.
Well, everybody after Billy, it means nothing to that fan
for sure.
Unless something crazy goes on.
Mm-hmm. And that's what we're trying to change.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I want people to know every one of the people that are on the card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That way, when you go to a fight, you're going to be entertained the full, ever how many hours it takes to watch the fight.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch every one of our podcasts and learn about every one of the fighters and come to the fight,
you got skin in the game. Then.
Yeah.
You're going to be entertained, bro.
Yep.
Yes.
You're going to be entertained.
Whole different atmosphere when
it's
you know
going to be
somebody.
like you're watching Conor McGregor, the Raper, fight. or Floyd Mayweather or something. You know what I'm saying? It's going to feel like that to you.
Yeah.
Well, see, I was a fan of fighters.
Yeah.
Just different ones. And it was cool. You watching it at home, this, that, and the other. Well, I go up, not with Billy, but I knew Billy was going up to KMA. And it was on sparring night. Well, I get to spar with Ovent St. Preux.
Wow.
20-fight UFC veteran. Yeah. Okay. I get to spar with him. And then I moved up there for a while. And I got to be teammates with him. And I got to train with him. I say on the daily, at least on the weekly, a couple of days a week. I got to do some point of interaction with him. Jason King, Bellator fighter. We had all kinds of guys up there. You do that. And then you watch Vince make that walk or Jason make it to Bellator. And you're like, dude, that's my dude.
Yeah.
Trevor Peak, same way. We started in the back of a back of a Taekwondo gym. There was 4 of us when they brought me in. There was 4 or 5 of us.
Wow.
And now Trevor's fighting at the top of the top on the UFC. Mm-hmm. It's a whole lot different when you know their background. You know what they struggle with.
Yep.
Torres Finney. Yeah. He come out of
that's my dude.
College, wrestling and playing football. And then just let me try this. And now look where he's at. He's about to be his first UFC fight. And it's guys like y'all, and it's the local shows that get them that attention.
Yeah.
And we had a newspaper, and they had Facebook Lives. It was called the Southern Torch. And they took a chance on us when we were doing AFC 1. And they brought a bunch of us fighters in, and it was just like this. I think there was 5 of us fighters, 4 fighters and Sam. And the funny part was I didn't have the beard. I had hair. We walked in. Trevor Peak had a mohawk. Sam McAlpin is just like 90 to nothing. He is like the ultimate promoter. And then the lady that was interviewing us called her husband. Her name's Marla Jones. She called her husband. She's like, I don't know if this is a good idea. These guys got out of the car. They look rough. And they're like, never mind. The guy just got out of a pest control car. He looks like he's probably their manager. Talking about me.
Yeah.
So I walk in and we sit down, and she's like, you're fighting too? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, how old are you? So they made a big deal about me being 38.
Yeah.
And Sam made a big deal about me being 38. So when I went to fight, I sold a bunch of tickets. But by the end of the fight, I had everybody that was 30 plus years old
on your side, baby,
standing up, screaming and hollering because they knew just a little bit about my story.
Yeah.
Ain't that crazy?
And that's what's so great about what you guys do, what Billy does, the videos, the pre-fight videos.
And
you give people a chance to get skin in the game.
Yep.
And that's where it's at, because they're going to follow you wherever you go.
Yeah, for sure.
And all we want is for people to get skin in the game, because I want you to be on fight night, just be as excited as I am.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you can do that, this thing is going to be lit.
Yeah, well.
See, I fought for XFC. It's a very big promotion.
Yes, it is.
I fought in Detroit, the big fight.
Mm-hmm.
I got there, took the fight, short notice. I think I had 3 weeks. I got there, first fighters meeting. They come down. There was 9 fights, 18 fighters. 12 out of the 18 were former UFC or Bellator fighters. I called my son. I was like, dude, I messed up. Like, I don't belong here.
Yeah.
Like, that was my thought. But it was the coolest thing. I walk out to fight. I have the smoke. They have the big screen behind you. It's awesome promotion. I get hurt. I get done. Buddy of mine who my coaches couldn't come. So, like, I was scrambling to find somebody to corner me. The promoter ended up cornering me. I was there by myself.
Golly, dude.
Well, there's a former Bellator fighter, Kenny Cross. He was in the same locker room with us and everything. Him and his wife were like, no, you just hang with us. So I got to hang with them. They took me, like, we had shuttle buses. They're like, no, we had rent a car. You're with us. Fight gets over. I lose. Kenny wins. We fight back to back. Go out. I go to see him. He's from Detroit. That's where we're fighting. The people were surrounding him. I went to go fist bump him, tell him good job. Well, there were some kids there, a father, and I think there was 3 boys. I'm not sure who was all who, but there was 3 boys and a dad. They're from Canada.
Mm.
And I walked by, and this kid grabs me. I had a dud of a fight, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I went out on my shield. I wasn't tapping out. I mean, I was hurt, but like I wasn't going to tap out.
Yeah.
This kid walked up to me and started telling me how proud he was of me.
Oh, wow.
And I was like,
you're going to make me cry, bro.
And he's like, can I get a picture? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I walk to see Kenny and I tell Kenny, congratulations, whatever. Turn around. And that boy, I had a tank top that said Alabama on it. It wasn't like a University of Alabama. It just said Alabama. And as I walked by, he's like, man, that is the coolest shirt. Where did you get it? And I turned around and looked at Kenny's wife. I was like, can I have that marker? And she's like, yeah, threw me a marker. I took the shirt off in the crowd, signed it, handed it to the boy, and walked off and went on my merry way. Did not think anything else of it.
Yeah.
That night, he found me on social media. He's messaged me. He comments on a lot of my stuff.
Yep.
He's like, dude, I'm such a fan. You're like,
Dang,
but that's what it's about. Like, I'm not here to make millions of dollars. I'm never going to do it.
Right.
But if I can be a positive impact on the younger kids or give the fighters that are coming up a good experience, I want to give them what I've had.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what's big to me.
Yeah. So we've never had a fight. Yeah. But I would like to give them a good experience too. Mm-hmm. Just because of the ones that I've met.
Yeah. And this is the cool thing. This for fighters is the coolest thing because you got to understand a fighter's mentality. They're about to be in front of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Most of them, their first fight, they've never done anything like this. You know, they may have wrestled, which is still a little bit different.
Oh yeah. You can't get punched in the face wrestling.
Right. You know, it's all for points. You know, you're not trying to physically hurt somebody. So getting this to be able to bump their stories.
Yeah, man.
That's where it's at. Like
we appreciate
that's the
that.
best.
That's what we want to do. I think it's vital. I think it's important.
I do too.
And I think it's helping. I don't know to what degree, but I think it's helping, you know. But yeah, so we went through shout outs and then kind of
I kept talking. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
100%.
That's okay. Yeah. I mean, that's what we're here to do is talk. So you shouted out your gym was the last thing that you shouted out. Is there anything else you wanted to shout out?
I think that's it. Billy, A&F, y'all. I mean, that's
A&F. Yeah, A&F always. But at the end of these shows, we tell everybody we love them. You don't have to do that, but that's the way we end it. Some people choose to say I love you too, or I love you, or whatever. Yeah. But that's how we end it, okay? But this is the end of this podcast. Like, subscribe. Go look for Chad on all social medias. We love you guys.
Love y'all.
Love you guys.
Perfect.